How you going, guys? I've been having to think about what I want to do for the next video. I want to do a bit of a tutorial series for new knife makers addressing some of the questions I get asked at work a lot, so I had a bit of a visual reference I could put people onto. I think it's a lot easier to demonstrate some of these things than it is to maybe discuss them over the phone, that sort of stuff. But being Saturday night, I wanted to have a bit of a novelty, and I thought, oh, got to think of something that hasn't been done yet. It's a pretty big world, a lot of things have been done. And I was looking about trying to think of something that I could forge and put together, a quick little project, and I realised there's one thing I'm missing from a bit of memorabilia that I picked up a little while ago. This here is a Scottish, I think it's pronounced targe, that seems to be how it looks to be spelt. But this was used by clansmen back in the day, up until about Culloden, even about that time. It's probably obsolete. Claimed to be able to do all sorts of things, handle a blow from a claymore or broadsword. There are accounts of people trying to deflect musket balls off the front of them by holding them at like an oblique angle. I guess if you're being shot at or try anything, I don't know how effective that would be. But I've lost part of the ensemble, and that's the targe spike that goes in the centre boss. These had a removable spike that went in front of them. They screwed into the centre of the boss. They made them removable because at times, it makes it a bit harder to move your shield around. It goes in that hole there. And in certain engagements it might have just presented a feature that the enemy could grab hold of and pull the shield out of a protective spot and open you up. So I used to have a plain carbon steel one, and it's kind of got lost in amongst all the moves. So I figured, what the hell, I'll make a Damascus one. So that's what I'll be doing tonight. Won't be too much of a focus on Damascus at all, just everyone knows how to make Damascus, right? But more about just challenging myself. The old one was a square taper about 5 inches long. I need to thread the end of it. Obviously it threads into that boss. I'm interested to know how long kind of tools for making threads like that have been around, because they reckon the historic ones threaded in as well. Yeah, so I tried to sketch myself up a little diagram to work to. I'll give more of a close-up of that. I've drawn the taper for myself, and like to embellish it a little bit with a bit of a swell in the body there. Maybe I'll put in a bit of a twist, and then there's just some vagueness down here where I plan to thread it, because I've never threaded anything that I've had to forge before. But yeah, anyway, before I go out, it's a really cold night. My workshop's pretty dark and damp at the best of times. I'll treat myself to a pickleback, a fairly underrated beverage I feel. I was introduced to this by my housemate Carl Davis. It consists of pickle juice, a shot of sometimes Jack Daniels. Tonight I've got Chivas Regal because we're forging a Scottish weapon, and you end on a pickle. So let's get stuck into it. Yeah, the pickle's a nice touch. One thing I could probably do better and save myself a lot more time with is if I stored this steel correctly, I probably wouldn't have to do as much of the first step that I am going to do. As I mentioned a bit earlier, this workshop leaks. It's constantly water around. Everything, like all my stock, is rusted. The underside is fine, top side real bad. So the first job is I'm going to have to grind all that off. I can cut everything up into pieces for the billet. Won't need a lot of material, it's a pretty small bit of gear. I'm thinking probably just a billet, maybe 50mm long by 38mm wide, and I guess however many pieces I can be bothered to grind clean high. One little tip I can mention is in the past I've messed myself up using similar thickness 15N20 and 1084. The way to get around that is I find marking the edge of the 1084 in blue marker. It saves me messing up the pattern later on. by doubling up layers because I get the two pieces confused. Probably a heap of other more intelligent ways to do it, but I find that's what works for me. Yeah, so because I marked the edges of those pieces of steel, I now know, as I'm stacking it up, that I'm not doubling up any layers where I don't want to. I'm just doing like a simple alternating stack of 15 and 20 and 1084. I used to, yeah, if I didn't mark it before I cut it and everything was cut the same size, I would almost always mess it up. But yeah, a little billet like this under the 25 kilo Anyang hammer, it's going to go real well. This won't take me long at all. Right, so just quickly I'll show you the best way to light the forge. Have something burning inside the forge before you turn the gas on. Also have the inspirator rolled most of the way, if not all the way in. That way you don't get a heap of gas building up while you're trying to throw something lit in and you have gas coming out all over the place. Once I've got it lit, roll the inspirator open, it starts drafting some air in. Okay guys, and there we have it, the Damascus targe spike. Maybe the first of its kind ever. Pretty happy with how the thread turned out. It holds nice and solid in the boss of the shield. I like this little element here. My old one didn't have that. I'm sure people could say it's, you know, a point of failure with something like that, but honestly I'm not going to use this thing, it doesn't matter, it just needs to be a bit of a showpiece. The taper probably isn't as fine as a real one would have been. To get that to go into anything and cause any damage, you'd have to give it a pretty good shove. Overall, I'm kind of thinking these were more of a, how'd you put it, more of a display rather than something you actually intended to do real damage with. Maybe in one-on-one combat where you're just trying to draw first blood, a little poke with the targe spike could end the conflict pretty quickly. Any loss of limbs, maybe an eye. You know, all fun and games till someone loses an eye. But yeah, overall, I like it. I'd make another one if somebody wanted, and probably get a few more layers in there. It was just pretty late at night and there was a limit to how much power hammering and forge welding I could do. But yeah, Damascus targe spike. Sure, the mark of the mightiest warrior in the glen? Maybe. That was pretty close there. Yeah, like I said, didn't want to taper it too much. You want to be able to see it and for it to look cool. Yeah, so for the next video, I think maybe I'll complete the ensemble. I'll make a maybe Damascus, maybe I'll do stuff with Hammonds and whatever else, but a ski and do, a dirk, and I'll finish on a claymore. I've got most of the claymore already forged out of 80 CRV2. I've got the fuller ground in, just probably needs to the point where it needs to be heat treated. But it might be more fun if I do a video going from the start. Anyway guys, yeah, leave a comment, let me know what you think.